Junie B, first grader, at last. Written by Barbara Park. Chapter 3. Stumped. Me and Herb walked to room 1 from the bus. He waved to Mr. Scary. Then I waved too. I am not even scared of that teacher, Harley, I said just to myself. We kept on walking to our seats. May was already sitting at her desk. She was organizing her pencil box. Lenny was at his desk too. Only wait till you hear this. I didn't even recognize that guy almost. Because Lenny had a thrilling new haircut. That's why. It was pointish and spikish and stiffish and straightish. That hair can puncture you, I think. Whoa, I said. Cool, said Herb. Gel, said Lenny. Shh, said May. Just then Jose came hurrying down the row. He was rushing real fast, 'cause the bell was almost ready to ring. Hola, everyone, he said out of breath. Hola, hola. Me and Herb and Lenny looked curious at him. Jose grinned. Whoops, he said. Hola means hello in Spanish. I know 2 different languages, and sometimes I forget which one I'm speaking. Wow, Jose, I said. You really speak 2 languages? Cool, said Herb. Big deal, said May. I know Spanish too. I can count all the way to 3 in Spanish. Does anyone want to hear me? The rest of us looked at each other. Not really, said Herb. Not me, said Lenny. Me neither, said Jose. May didn't pay attention to us. Uno, dos, tres, she said real loud. I leaned nearer to her. Shh, I said. Then everyone laughed and laughed. But not May. Pretty soon the bell rang for school. Mr. Scary got our morning started. First, he took attendance of the children. Then we said, I pledge allegiance to the flag. Plus also, we listened to boring bulletins from the office. Finally, Mr. Scary walked to the chalkboard, and he printed a list of words. Boys and girls, he said, this morning I have a fun assignment for you. He winked at us and pointed to the list. I want you to read these words to yourselves, he said. Then, without talking to your neighbor, choose any word from the list and draw a picture of it in your journal. May squealed, very thrilled. Oh, goody, goody, she said. I love this kind of assignment, Mr. Scary. I am perfect at not talking to my neighbor. After that, she quickly took a pencil out of her box, and she started to draw. I stared at the words. Then I tapped on my chin, and I scratched my head. 'Cause I didn't actually get this assignment, that's why. I said. I glanced in my eyes at Herb and Lenny and Jose. All of them were drawing too. I looked back at the board again. Then I stretched my neck as far as it could go, and I squinted my hardest. But those words had me stumped, I tell you. Finally, I reached out to Herb, real secret, and I tapped on his back. Psst, Herb, I whispered. Quick question. Which word are you drawing? May did a loud gasp. She jumped up from her seat and pointed at me. Mr. Scary, Junie Jones is talking to her neighbor. See her? She's talking to Herbert, and that is against the rules. I turned my head. Blabberlips, I yelled. Blabberlips May. Mr. Scary looked back at us. His mustache was not smiling. I did a gulp. Then I quick opened my journal, and I started to draw. Chapter 4. Clucks. We drew and drew in our journals. Mr. Scary waited until all of us were done. Then he walked around the room, and he looked at everyone's pictures. He gave out shiny gold stars. First, he gave stars to Camille and Chanel. "What great-looking dogs you drew, girls," he said. "Look at those floppy ears." Lucille raised her hand. "Look at mine, teacher," she said. "I drew a cat with pointy ears. See, my rich Nana has an expensive cat just like this. Its fur is a foot thick almost." Mr. Scary looked strange at her. "Really, Lucille? A whole foot of fur," he said. My. He gave her a gold star and moved on. He went to a boy named Roger. Roger was in my same class last year. "Excellent job, Roger," Mr. Scary said. "You drew a man wearing a coat. The words man and coat were both on the board, weren't they?" I did a frown, 'cause none of these words were actually sounding familiar. After that, Mr. Scary walked to Sheldon and Shirley. "Cool bat and ball, Sheldon," he said. "And Shirley, you drew a bat and ball too, didn't you?" I put my head on my desk. Something was very wrong here. Finally, Mr. Scary got to May. "Oh, May," he said. "What a special clock you drew. The big hand has 5 fingers. That's very unusual." "Yes," said May. "I created it myself. Plus, clock was the hardest word up there, wasn't it, Mr. Scary? I am the only one who even knew the word clock, I bet." Just then, my stomach felt sickish inside. I quick closed my journal and stuffed it in my desk. Mr. Scary saw me. "Junie B," he said, "don't you want to show me your drawing? Don't you want a gold star for today?" I shook my head real fast. "Nope, no thank you, no I don't," I said. "Not today. I really don't care for the gold star today, but thank you for asking." Mr. Scary kept on standing there. "The end," I said. He did not budge. "Please move along," I said. Finally, Mr. Scary bent down next to me. He lowered his voice so no one could hear. "I'm sorry, Junie B, but I'd really like to see what you drew," he said. "I needed to make sure that you understood the assignment." Then, before I knew it, he took my journal out of my desk, and he gave it to me to hold. After that, he walked me into the hall, and he let me show him my drawing in private. And guess what? He liked it, I think. "Oh, wow, look at that, Junie B," he said. "You drew a wonderful picture of a... He kept on looking. A screaming chicken," I said finally. "Yes, right," he said. "It's a screaming chicken," I said again. I pointed at the chicken's mouth. "See how it's screaming? Cluck, cluck, cluck. I used capital letters for the clucks. Capitals are for screaming, correct?" "Well, yes, I suppose so," said Mr. Scary. "But the thing is, Junie B, the word cluck wasn't on the board today." "I know it," I said. "The word on the board was clock, only I didn't read all the letters right, I guess, 'cause I accidentally thought it was cluck." I tapped on my chin. "What I actually wanted to draw was the butt and bull," I said. "I really liked the sound of that one, but I didn't know how to get started exactly, so I went ahead with the cluck idea. Mr. Scaredy looked confused at me. The butt and bull? He asked. I smiled, kind of embarrassed. Yeah, well, I read those words wrong too, I guess, I said. They turned out to be bat and ball. Mr. Scaredy frowned. He said. What about the other words on the board, Junie B? Do you remember how you read some of the other ones? How about dog and cat, or coat and goat? I thought back. Then I made my voice real quiet. Dug and caught and coot and ute, I said. Mr. Scaredy nodded his head. Then he patted my hand very nice. And he gave me back my journal. And we walked back into room 1.